All right, looks like I'm live. I noticed I had another subscriber today, and I really appreciate that. And so I thought I would do a video about an epiphany I had recently. One part of it came from watching Styx Hexenhammer 666. I have to admit that because he's mentioned it. But I've been hearing a little bit about this experiment here lately, and I was very interested in it. And I looked into more details from today after hearing Styx espouse the same colors of hair. And I myself, way back in the day, when I first got out of the military, I used to be a hairdresser, so I know a little bit about hair color and things like that. But this is the point. It's really an idea that's developed from this experiment that was done in the 60s, I guess, by this guy John Calhoun, or the early 70s, and he built a mouse utopia that he called Universe 25. Now, he had built 24 universes before this, so this wasn't his first rodeo, or his first universe for that matter. But interestingly enough, the whole experiment was designed to see what would happen if you gave a society everything it ever needed or asked for. And I believe by day 560, there were 2,200 mice. So it was a completely different environment. And basically it broke down until, you know, they weren't mating anymore, and hardly any babies were being carried to term. And when they were, the mothers barely cared for them. And sometimes they would be fighting and stuff, and the mothers would like carry half the litter away and leave the other half, or drop one and never go back for it. And so the population reached a tipping point where it could not recover. And the thing about it is that it wasn't that they were too crowded. It's like the way they were managing themselves. They were like bottling themselves up in these areas, so it appeared that they have more population density than others. But what Styx was going into was something that's been added onto that for like an explanation of, with a mechanism within nature that makes that work, because it's a natural population control, and that is pheromone overload. So as I understand it, this is one reason why we see this effect of effeminized men, cuckishness, as we call it, and overly aggressive women, and the low type phenomena here. Or at least it has more to do with hair texture. Of course, there's people in all races that have different hair texture, so it's not really a racial thing. If a person of color, a lady of color, had the right hair and could do this, they'll just do it. That's it. That they can do it, you can do it. And there's nothing wrong with coloring your hair. As I tried to explain to my daughter, who currently has pink hair or something like that, I don't know what it is, it's constantly changing, that it's really not about her. You know, it's like about the whole mass of society, something that we see, you know, going on. And you don't see it over here in Roswell, New Mexico too much. And you don't see it out in the flyover countries. But you see it in the cities. And the more density and the more city there is, the more you see of this. So really, it's an effect caused by overcrowding in the cities. And it happens to every civilization, men or beast. They get in a situation where you have an overabundant, you know, so at least you have to admit people have trouble recognizing scarcity at this point. You know, people think things that are scarce that are not scarce, and things that are scarce they ain't even worried about. Fresh water, things like that. So it's just an observation, man. It's just a theory, okay? Because I'm 56. I probably told y'all before. So 57 this year, coming up. So anyway, it's, you know, even though I was involved in, you know, doing hair and stuff like that and coloring people's hair, and I was a so-called punk rocker, I guess, at one point, and I certainly saw some back in the day when I was in Germany and whatnot in the early 80s. I saw some punk rock, and I just wondered why, you know, the punk rock thing was very limited, especially within women. You know, like they wouldn't try to make, most of them wouldn't try to make themselves completely undateable and unattractive. But in fact, that's what my daughter said. You know, she was like vacillating back and forth. You know, one minute it was like she was trying to throw off the fuck boys, and the next minute she was just trying to be fashionable. So I think she's kind of confused. Probably a lot of people are, but she definitely admitted that she was trying to send off a signal that she was not available for mating, and it's told me many times she didn't want to have another child. And so that's kind of a personal thing, and I'm not trying to pick on her. The thing is, I'm trying to explain to you why I came up with this question in the first place as to why people have pink hair, which leads us into another thing about Disney, and I'll cover comments down there in the comment box, whether this makes sense to you or not.